Hello everyone, it is I, Rand, the creator, and you might know me for all the DBD content I make, which I wouldn't say content, it's more of just me uploading random rounds, I guess. But today, I'm going to be going over the patch notes. Now, the last patch notes video I made was not the best. I was mostly just going over the entirety of DBD, but I wanted to specifically go over the Trickster patch notes. And I did not do my research or my homework. And so I was just rambling on about how some characters were nerfed, some characters were buff, and I was just not talking about the specifics on how that's good or bad. But guess what? I did it. I went over the patch notes on the killers, on diminishing returns, and the visible team, all of it. So let's start off with the big scandal, diminishing returns. Now, how this works is that it's basically supposed to stop, survivors from having three healing perks that can give you 300% and like bounty knowledge, which gives you 50%. And now you're at 350% healing. Oh, wow. See that survivor, the killer was working so hard to like absolute. Wait, am I recording? Okay, yeah, I'm recording. Just double checking. All that progress and hard work the killer got to get the survivor just to the injured state or down. No, no. All that hard work gone. You can tell that because I'm a person who has like a healing build. It's not a crazy healing build. It's just 85% healing. Um, so it does that with every build. So let's say you have a haste build or a gen rush build of any sort. It will decrease the highest perk with the most percentage. So in this case, let's give an example, bounty knowledge being 50%. Well, then it'll stay at 50%. Then it goes to the second perk with the most progress, or most gives you most percentage, blah, blah, blah. For me, that would be empathetic connection, which gives you 35% healing. That would be cut in half. So in this case, I did my math. Yippee yay, yippee yo. Where is it? Guys, trust me. So the 35% decreased to 17.5. Wowzers. So, oh, thank you. So my total healing will go from 85 to 67.5, and then your third most used perk, which is like a healing one, for instance, would go to 25, or basically a quarter of what it will do, and then the last one will do 1/10 of that quarter, and so it can make very very powerful builds less powerful. Now, there's been kind of a debate by survivors on if this is good or this is bad. I'm on the bench because I'm like on the fence. I like having very powerful healing builds. I came from Marvel Rivals, and when you're a healer, you want to do the most healing so your team doesn't die, and then just say the most absolute worst things to you if you're not healing them right. So of course I have the mindset of always having high healing. This will kind of nerf that or like slow down the progress. But and I can see why my fellow survivor mains aren't a real fan of that. Their gen rush builds, their haste builds, their healing builds, all of it just boom, gone in an instant. All it just cut in like half. Which yes is a big problem, but it makes the game more balanced. It makes it so for killers, they don't have to be constantly putting pressure on one survivor, because if they leave one survivor alone, then another survivor with a powerful healing build can finish it. Boom. Done. The entire team has now healed because you were looking away for a split second. As a Demogorgon main, I have had to face the worst gen rush build and just boom, 4 generators done, and I barely got in my second hook. And it is just sad, and it is just sad to see. So I think most survivor mains are kind of spoiled, and they just like fall in love. It's like getting like ice cream every day, like you have your dinner and then you have your big bowl of ice cream. It will take this big bowl of ice cream and just give you an ice cream cone. You're still doing a good amount of healing. Like back from earlier with the 350, it would get divided to 177.5. My math might be a bit off, but it will be cut to that much, which is still a good amount of healing. Not as fast as originally, but it's still a good amount. But it's still, you know, cut. So overall, I think this would make the game more... Okay, demo. I think this will give the opportunity to make the game way more balanced than it was before and give killers some fresh air, because it's like they're on a chokehold. I know a lot of DVD YouTubers have made videos on this before, but like killer stress, about just like being stressed about like playing killer, trying to do the best you can, you know, put pressure, make sure gens aren't being done. It's a lot of work. And so I think this will give killers more of like a fresh air, room to breathe, if you will. Hence why I agree upon this. I am a killer main at some points, so I think this will 100% benefit me. I love how I used the Demogorgon and Gen Rush builds as like a metaphor. And we're right now doing this. We are already 4 gens done, and this Demogorgon has barely gotten one person to 2 hooks. And then, okay. It took him this long. So, and then boom, instantly save. Wowzers. So yeah, I see this as a benefit for everyone. It'll make it balanced and not too easy for survivors. Next up, the killer buffs and nerfs. Now, when I say nerfs, I mean one. There's only one nerf. I'm not going to be counting add-ons in this commentary, because to me, add-ons is a whole nother thing. I just started, like, it was like 2 months ago where I started figuring out how add-ons work. So I'm not going to get into that, because each add-on does a lot of things. There's a lot of good ones, there's a lot of bad ones. I'm not too familiar with that. If you want more in-depth look into that, go watch another DVD YouTuber but me. I'm not getting into add-ons. I'm just going to go over some main killers that intrigue me. So, first off, we're doing the Blight. Now, the Blight only has 2 nerfs, but I think these 2 nerfs are good. First one is that he's going from a 4.6 meters per second killer to 4.4. So, quick question, why is this killer that was able to rush down anyone in like less than 15 seconds a 4.6? I wish I was joking about the 15 seconds thing. No. I was in a match. It took less than 15 seconds, and the Blight had I want to say less than 50 seconds, because he was already at where all the survivors were, and he was able to get me down. I barely had any time to breathe. All right, so even after you like survive his like rush mode, which he could, you know, do more if he gets more of his syringes, you know, he's at 4.6. To give context, like Huntress and Deathslinger, who have crazy ranges, by the way, are nerfed to have 4.4 speed. The Nurse, who can move incredibly fast with her dashes, is, you want to guess, a 3.8, slower than the average survivor. So tell me why the Blight was 4.6. I do not know. But now he's nerfed to a 4.4, which is equivalent to Huntress and Deathslinger. So it'll make it so when you use your little good old syringes to go fast, I don't want to go fast, rush down your enemy, you have to use them wisely. I say that now because the pallet breaks. So every time he breaks a pallet, he has a rush token. You get 5 at max with no add-ons. He loses 2 of those. Thank the Lord. You're telling me this man only lost 1 rush token and then all back to going crazy? He could just have 5, break a pallet, and then boom, getcha. Looping is basically impossible with this man. And so I see this as a definitive greatness to everyone. This is a buff to the community and a nerf to all Blight mains. If you argue on how this is bad, I'm sorry, man, you're crazy. Okay, like every Blight main, that's crazy to think that, you know, this is a loss. This is a win for everyone. Next one, Doctor mains. I don't really care about Doctor mains. Doctor is like, I hate Doctors. I don't like them. But, you know, Doctor's kind of like a forgotten about killer. And so, of course, they gave him a buff. Oh, this is where we're getting to buffs now. His main attack goes from 0.5. No, he goes from 8 seconds to 0.5 seconds. We really needed that 5 millisecond. We really needed that 5 millisecond decrease. All right. Now he can fire attacks. Majority of these buffs are like a few seconds off, but overall, like each second counts. I want to make that clear. In games like Dead by Daylight, Brawl Stars, Smash Bros, every second, every millisecond counts, because just the tiniest pixel of a frame, if it hits you, you're dead, you're cooked, you're screwed. Or if you're like, the killer in this instance, you're winning. And so his rush attack, his chainsaw attack is going from, this is Bubba by the way, 5.46 meters per second. It's going from I have it reversed. I don't know why. 5.35 meters per second to 5.46 meters per second. That is a 0.11 meters per second increase. So that's good for him. Ghostface, his charge mode, when he goes sneaky and oops, now you're red. It's going from 17 seconds to 15 seconds. Now this is actually right now, as of right now, the only killer that it goes from milliseconds to second. A 2-second increase is very good because, like I said, every second counts. The Ghostface needs to make sure the last second he gets is to, boom, now you're red. Next one, Demo. Praise Demo mains. When we have not gotten a buff for a long time. And so his shred is going from 8.4 meters per second to 19 meters per second. That is a 0.6 meters per second increase. And I actually did the math to kind of elaborate more. So let's say we're in 10 meters per second, or let's say there's 10 meters between you and the survivor. So this increase would make it so you would spend 0.54 seconds to 0.52 seconds. So that saves 2 milliseconds. Okay, yeah, that's very little, but not that much. So let's do his terror radius, which is 32 meters. So you go from spending 1 second and 73, you go from 1 second, 1.73 seconds, I should be saying like that, into catching the survivor in your terror radius or injuring. It goes down to 1.68, which still might not sound a lot, but like I said earlier, every millisecond counts. So that's a pretty big change. The biggest one, in fact, is that, where is it? So when you do a shred attack, you can only move at originally only 27.5 degrees. That's how much you can move, which is pretty small, but you can make it work. What if we doubled that? You can now turn your entire camera 55 degrees when you do a shred attack. If I had a nickel every time where I almost got a survivor but couldn't because my degrees I couldn't move that far, it's now solved. Also, another big thing, his undetectable is going from 5 seconds. All right, so it's probably gonna be a few seconds to 12 seconds. So that's a big change. Like I said, every second counts. An extra 6 seconds of no one noticing you, no one hearing you. I'm sorry, but that's a big W in my books. All right, you can have a portal pretty far away from a gen, teleported, and you can get pretty close to it, and boom, get survivor. And they wouldn't even expect a thing. Wesker got a few buffs. He got executed last time, and the angels came down and gave him a kiss. And so here are this. His duration chain. Like I said, like I said before, I am a killer main, but I'm not an expert on all killers. So for him to charge his attack, it went from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Not bad. His, how he's able to like charge and then recharge. It is cut by 10% by 5.5 to 5 seconds. Recovery after doing one of his attacks goes from 3 seconds to 2.7 seconds. Nice. The Unknown, which I have recently played, is going from his UVX cooldown, going from 7 to 6.25. And as an Unknown main, that is very generous. That's 11% cut. So And then the last one is Springtrap. I put this one down for the recall. So if he has an axe on a survivor, he's able to recall it after 8 seconds, which is a 20% cut. And if he just has it on like any platform or object, it just decreases from 1 second. Which, like I said before, every second counts. So for him to save that much time is very useful. So he can just get his axe again and throw it. And the final part of this patch is visible teamwork perks. This is a good one because if I had a nickel for every single time I played Survivor and I had to like go up to another survivor and try to like tell them, hey, let me heal you, or hey, come do gen build with me, they just wouldn't catch a thing. Like for instance, Blood Pack. Literally no survivor that I've met, or specifically Obsession, ever comes towards me when I have Blood Pack, because they don't know I have Blood Pack. They think I have like another aura reading perk, or they don't even know Blood Pack exists. So for your team able to see the rest of your perks, especially add-ons, praise the Lord, thank you. I think the biggest perk I think is getting the biggest buff is Dustin's change of plan. Let me tell you this. No one, literally no one uses change of plan. And no one knows anyone else who uses change of plan. So, because you can have a whole med kit and it's just empty and you're not using it, so you just kind of have it there. Brother, give it to me! There have been so many times where I'm like doing like an email like, hey, give me your box, and then they don't give me the box. And so now I can't get another med kit. And if I can't get another med kit, I can't do more healing, and it sucks. It's annoying. So for survivors to check your build, see you have change of plan, they're like, all right, I'm giving you my med kit. Please heal me now. Thank you. And offerings. It's just simple. It's just offerings, which they do get shown at the beginning of the game. So I don't know why you need to see them again. It's odd, but it's whatever. And so those are all the patch notes. I did skip a few things, like for killer buffs. I'm not going over all killer buffs, but I'm going over the ones that are very impactful. And I'm also not doing add-ons because, like I said, add-ons is a whole nother thing. I'm getting out of that lane. So what do I think of the 9.6 patch notes? I think this is a win. I think this is a win overall. For people who have the same build of let me do gen rush or increase healing or haste, this is going to affect them a lot, but I think it will be an upside for survivors, and I think it will force other survivors to have some variety. For instance, one of the perks I did not mention was I have Deja Vu. The reason why I had Deja Vu is because I needed a filler perk and I had nothing else that was good. This was more healing perk where I was going to do 100%, 185% healing. That's almost a 200. That's crazy. But it came to my conclusion that I barely used the booms at all, so it was not helpful at all. So I added a variety, and I know that variety is just Deja Vu, but it's useful because if I'm not healing someone, or like killers have perks or builds that go against healing or haste or rush gens, it forces survivors to think of new builds to counteract this. Most of my builds are kind of one-sided. I don't want to say one-sided, like they have one main objective. Object of Obsession, Inner Strength, Extraordinary Perception, VCU. When I had Object of Obsession, I didn't know what to do with it. I could have used it more on like, builds that make it so if the killer sees your aura, you get an increase in everything. And so I kind of worked with that. With this, another build I have is V. Buninski. Let's see, where is it? I'm just reading this. I was not prepared to go over my other builds. It's up here. My Gen Rush build. I'm putting air quotes on Gen Rush builds. So 30%. And a good old 10%. So that's 40% increase on doing gen work. So that's going to be cut. So it will be 35 instead of 40, which it's a little bit less, but it will probably have to force me into trying another gen build or a build that is good overall. And then you got my Lori build, which none of these work together, but it's still a good build. All right, none of these relate in any way. None of them help each other, but it still helps me get rid of Killer. And so another one would be the Nancy build. I don't even know what I'm doing with this Nancy build. And it's just two Nancy perks. It's all three Nancy perks that don't relate to each other anyway. And yeah, it's still good. This is my most win build. So yeah. And then the last one, visibility team perks. Like I said earlier, this will help. So if I had to grade this entire patch note, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Pretty good. Could have added more things, could have buffed a few more killers, but besides that, overall, pretty good. Thanks for watching my 21-minute rant. I felt like I could have cut this down by a lot.